Alright, what's up, reviewers? This is Smooth the Reviewer, and today I'm going to be talking about Classroom of the Elite because it has finally returned after an amazing second season. And real quick before I continue, I just want to say that I suggest watching my videos in like 1.2 times speed because I know I can often like pause a lot and I can like talk like slowly and it'll seem like I talk a lot, which I do sometimes. So I recommend watching it in 1.2 times speed because that made it flow better for me when I listened to one of my previous videos with it like that. So yeah, just a suggestion. And so now getting into this review, I want to talk about the sort of drama that's kind of going around with Classroom of the Elite right now. If you don't know, Classroom of the Elite is a series that has light novel readers. It's based off of a light novel, and the people who read the light novels are very upset by it because to them it is a very rushed adaptation of the story, and it cuts a lot of dialogue and scenes that people think should be in it and would make the series better. Now, I started off actually watching the anime, which is why I have a very interesting sort of viewpoint of this series from where I'm coming from because I started off as an anime only, and this is when season 2 was coming out. So fortunately did not have to wait the 5 years in between season 1 and season 2. I got through all of season 1, and season 2 was just airing, was still like releasing episodes. So I caught up like very quickly and finished season 2. And that's the thing. I don't even think season 2 finished before I started watching summary videos of what was going to happen next. That is how much I kind of just fell in love with this series. And it's crazy because like I just said, light novel readers hate the anime. At least a good portion of them do. Season 2 was airing, and I enjoyed it so much that I then watched summary videos of what was going to happen next. And then I started reading the light novel at year 2 volume 8. And I also made previous videos on this too where I talk about this. If you go back in my channel, you'll see I made some year 2 analysis videos of year 2 volume 9, I believe, and 9.5. So yeah, I come from a very like interesting view on all of this. So the thing is, I don't so I want to make it clear that I don't know every single little detail, okay? So that's where I was kind of going with all this. It's because like I said, I watched summary videos all the way up to year 2 volume 7, and then year 2 volume 8 is where I started reading the light novels. So everything up until year 2 volume 7, I know all of the major important events, okay? And I know like where the story is going to go from here, and I know like all of like the major stuff and even some like other minor important things, okay? But like every little nook and detail, you know, don't know all of that, okay? To be clear. But even still, I understand why light novel readers are upset because even with the first episode, okay, there was a couple of things that were cut that would have made that people really wanted to see and that I would have liked to see. So starting off was one very important point was that the three classes actually work together, okay? So the first year, so Aina Koji's year, when they were selecting groups, that's the the major thing with episode 1. They didn't show them actually forming their groups. And the content that was cut explains that that classes B, C, and D are actually working together. Like they formed certain groups. They formed groups together so that they could max out their points and get and close the gap between them and Class A. And that was just cut completely. And then also Koenji here. So I have Koenji pulled up on the screen right now. So we also get a little bit of his backstory actually that was cut in episode 1. So I'm not going to actually say what it is because maybe they'll mention it later because it is like somewhat like of a really like important detail for us to know, but we get a little bit of Koenji's backstory and kind of like why he is the way he is, why he kind of doesn't like care what happens at the school. So that was cut. And then how Yukimura became the leader was cut. Nagamo was a certain scene with Nagamo was like also cut because I think so what I want to highlight really is the fact that Nagamo is not really, his character isn't really how he is in the light novels. He's very toned down. And light novel readers are probably like very upset by this too. He seems very toned down inside the anime. Like he's not as cunning as he is in the light novels. Like the anime doesn't really show him to be as intellectual as he actually is. It kind of just skips right to him challenging Nagamo, and like the dialogue, you can tell that he's like planning something, but it's just not as like clever as it seems. And there was also a scene that was cut with him playing cards with Ayano Koji, and that also showed his certain kind of cleverness too, and also how he had an interaction with Koenji that also was cut too. So yeah, like I said, just a whole bunch of stuff already with episode 1 that was cut, and even something with Ichinose. Okay, so what's coming up in these next couple episodes is actually going to be focused on Ichinose, and a certain scene was cut in the first episode that would have greatly helped set up for what was coming. But that was just episode 1. But so here we are at episode 2, and honestly, this episode was better. This was, I think most of us can agree that this episode was better than the first one because it just got like, because it just flowed so well. Okay, it got like pretty much the major points, and it was put together very neatly. So to start off, we have Koenji here just like being Koenji and just being on top of a cliff. Right, he jumps off of a cliff, and it's just a hilarious like moment, as we always get from him. Anime onlys, like I watch like anime only reactions, and everyone just like loves Koenji. They all just like love him because of just his carefree nature and all of that. But then we move on to Yukimura actually getting his like ankle kind of hurt here, or like his foot. This is kind of like not as played up as much, I don't believe, but I don't really think it needed to be. You just need to know that he was just like hurt. You just really need to know that he was just hurt. So then we move on to this, where Koenji just like casually kills a boar, and this is, I'm pretty sure, I think this is kind of like a little bit of anime original here, because this is not how this confrontation went, at least with the summary video I watched. So this is kind of the first thing that was kind of like toned. This was another thing that was kind of just like toned down. This scene where Ayano Koji is trying to get Koenji to help the group out, but then Koenji is like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. And then he just picks up this boar and tries to walk off, but Kiyotaka grabs him by the arm, and then Koenji is just like, oh, whoa, what the heck? So you're the one who tamed Dragon Boy. and he's obviously talking about Ryuin. So Koenji here figures out that Ayano Koji had some involvement of like why Ryuin is the way he is now. And yeah, like I said, this moment honestly could have been better because I was looking forward. This is one of those scenes that light novel readers were looking forward to, and it's just like not as intense as I think it should have been. Like because in the light novel, Kiyotaka has to like chase after Koenji. Like he has to, because I think they're doing like, yeah, they're doing this like a running thing, and then Kiyotaka like runs up to Koenji, and then he asks him to, try to help the group, but then obviously Koenji says no, and then he like forceful, kind of like he doesn't forcefully grabs his arm to stop him, and that was just kind of toned down here. Like this is like the way it portrays him grabbing Koenji's arm. It's like there's no like really intensity here. It's kind of just Kiyotaka has this plain face, and then Koenji is just like, oh, so it's you. And yeah, it's like Koenji is like not, he doesn't really figure it out in a cleverly either. Like it's kind of just like, oh yeah, I know. And I imagine, yeah, that's another kind of like upsetting thing. But anyways, moving past this intro here, so we finally get to the Asahina scene. So this is finally Asahina's like sort of kind of introduction to us. And this was a very beautifully animated scene. Yes, I think like novel readers can all agree that this was a very well animated scene. But I remember seeing a video talking about how like this was kind of like the way they set this up. It's like in the light novel, Kiyotaka actually planned to meet Asahina. So here in the anime, she drops this. I don't really know what this is. This was something she had like attached to her phone, and then she kind of just drops it, and so Ayano Koji is just like giving it back to her. But in reality, he actually like planned to talk to Asahina. It wasn't just like a coincidence, and he just like happened to notice that she dropped it like he does in the anime here. But this is kind of like one of those scenes where I'm just like, I personally don't really mind this change. Like I don't think it really needed to be like dragged out with like them showing us like Kiyotaka like planning this. I don't think that was really necessary. But I digress. So moving on here, now we move on to undoubtedly the funniest and, in my opinion, best scene in this episode. Like I genuinely think this was the best scene in this episode in particular. So it's nighttime. They're all trying to go to sleep, and then out of nowhere, Hashimoto just is like, "Hey, Ishizaki, you got a minute?" And it's funny because Ishizaki is over here trying to sleep. If you look at the screen, so Hashimoto is here at the bottom, and then Ishizaki is all the way up there at the top. And it's just like, how does Hashimoto know that Ishizaki is like awake? Hashimoto just calls over to him at the other side of the room, and it's just like, what? And then, like, if you can imagine yourself being here, it's just like, why are you two talking? Go to sleep, bro. And but besides that, this was honestly just a bonding scene right here, and I think this was just very well adapted. I think, yeah, this is definitely the best scene in my opinion, because this is where Hashimoto kind of like opens up to Ishizaki here and like everyone. And then also, not just that, Yukimura like opens up too. He opens up about how he knows that he's like useless in like every area besides like academics, and so he tried to make academics like his whole thing and like be in class A, but he was put in class D. So yeah, this is like a very like emotional moment for Yukimura here, and like he even like starts crying, as you can see on the screen. He starts crying and all that. And then Ishizaki is like, sorry, trying to get there. Yeah, and then Ishizaki, he kind of like, supports the dude. Everyone kind of like supports Yukimura. Ishizaki is like, hey, listen, bro, it's fine, man. Look, none of us could have like actually been the leader of this group. None of us wanted to be, but you took it for us. You took one for the team essentially. So, yeah, easily best scene in this episode in my opinion, and very funny. That's the thing. The anime is very funny, and I think that is like one praise that I think we could all give it, even light novel readers that like don't like it. I think we could all agree that the anime can be funny. At least, at the very least, it can have these funny moments in there. And it's something that anime onlys just like eat up. I know this because, like I said, I watch reactions to the episodes, and like anime onlys, they're laughing their butts off at like funny scenes like this where Hashimoto, yeah, like I said, Hashimoto just talks across the room. And so then, let's see. So then we move on here to them cleaning up, and then we immediately get a scene where Ishizaki is like being more friendlier. So this is literally the result of the previous scene. Ishizaki is like, "Hey, listen, man, I know your ankle hurts. Go get some rest so you can still run the marathon." And yeah, it's the bonding moment. We see like the immediate payoff of the bonding moment, and then literally a second later, Yukimura starts actually being like a good leader and tells them how he has this plan. So he has this plan for the relay. So basically, the plan is that the faster people, since they have less people in their group, the faster people are going to run longer distances than the people who can't. And yeah, it's just very good. And then I would like to oh yeah, and then kind of just skipping ahead here. So we see Tachibana. Ayana Koji finds Tachibana out here, and she's like crying, and then she expresses basically how she's worried about Manabu and like how she doesn't want to be a burden to him, and that'll come up later. So I'm gonna just like skip past it for now. So then we get to the most disappointing scene out of this entire episode. And yes, I can't defend this scene really in any way. So I 100% agree. Like if light novel readers hate this scene, I agree with them, because this scene where Hashimoto leaves and goes to meet up with Ryuin, they don't actually play it out. They don't actually have the dialogue for it. This is just a quiet, because Kiyotaka's too far away, and it's just like, oh, you can't tell what they're saying. But then they have Nagumo and Manabu meet up, and this is like, I don't even know if I should really like talk about what they say, because like if you read obviously if you read the light novel, like what they kind of say to each other in this scene, and this is kind of, I don't know if I should mention this yet, but just know that Ryuin meeting with Hashimoto is like a more important thing. So I guess this scene is fine because like now that like Ryuin and Hashimoto like have something going on between them, but it still would have been better for us to actually know like what they were saying. And like even with this scene, like I said earlier, Nagumo actually said something to Manabu here that would have added to his character and showed just again how cunning Nagumo can really be. But obviously, like I said, that dialogue was cut out too. So then after that, we kind of just skim here past like all of the special assignments or whatever. I don't know what you call them, or the test. Yeah, the test. And yeah, again, this is kind of one where I'm kind of like fine that they cut most of this, because light novel readers probably would have liked them to like expand on these races more, and there was probably more to it. But again, like this is something I'm kind of fond of because like we don't really we don't really need to see all this because if you don't know, this is hailed as the worst volume. These first two episodes adapt one volume, and it's held as the worst volume. Volume 8 is the worst volume out of the series, okay? So, and like I said, because like I started off as anime only, I am fine with them like cutting this down, like us not seeing this. The only thing I'm going to knock this like scene for is at the end here. So Yukimura makes it to Ainakoji, and then he goes to pass the thing to Koenji, who's finishing the race. But then you don't even get to see it. I think that is another negative of rushing through the story. Because we don't get to see Koenji actually run his part of the race, which I think anime onlys would have also liked to see because we don't see Koenji doing stuff that much that actually helps the group. So it would have been nice for them, for like anime onlys especially, to see that like Koenji can actually do something because later in the story, this is not really a spoiler, but later on in the story he actually does do certain things that like help the class. And that was just one of those things I think anime onlys would have especially benefited from seeing. But nevertheless, we skip to like this ending scene here, and to be honest, I'm gonna just summarize this whole thing up to like this was honestly kind of another bad like adaptation. This is also where I'm gonna side with light novel readers a little bit. I think this whole last section of this episode was not very well adapted. Adapted. Yeah, that's right. I was saying the right word. So, how do I explain this? So basically, long story short, Nagamo basically tricked Manabu. Okay, so Nagamo basically one group of girls failed the exam. So, and if you remember, if any group fails like the exam, the leader is expelled and they have to take one person down with them, okay? And so what Nagamo did was he got this girl right here to fail, get the group to fail on purpose, and then so that she could ask for Tachibana, Manabu's right-hand girl or whatever, to get expelled along with her. That's basically what happened, because like I said before, the scene earlier with her crying, this was to kind of foreshadow that she didn't want to be a burden to Manabu, and that's why she didn't go to him for help. But the reason I don't like this adaptation is because it doesn't properly explain everything completely. So Manabu basically declares that he is going to, like right here if you look at screen, he's going to spend points to save Tachibana, okay? And if you just hear that, you're kind of just like, okay, well, what's the problem? He's just going to spend points and save Tachibana. But the thing is, that's not exactly what happened. It's like I said, it's not very well explained. So going back to the fact that Nagamo got Ikari, that was the girl's name, the girl Ikari, to expel Tachibana with her, is that he actually got all three classes to help. Okay, so yeah, try to keep with me here. So the third year classes, class A, B, C, and D, classes B, C, and D grouped up against class A. That's what Nagamo did. He didn't just get Ikari to do it. He got all of class B, class C, and class D of the third year. He got them all to team up against class A. Okay? And so it's not just him paying for Ikari to be saved. All of the other three classes helped to save Ikari, and then Manabu obviously can only save Tachibana with his own class. So again, you still, anime onlys can still understand that. They can still understand that, it's more of a blow to Manabu because he can only use his class's points, while as it says right here, Nagumo controls the second years, and he can just, so he already has a lot of points. He can like divvy up the points to take from different classes to save Ikari, but that's not really exactly it. It's not just him taking the second year's points. It was the third year classes B, C, and D using their points to save Ikari, and like Nagumo obviously using some of his points to save her too. And then so yeah, that's why I think this last section was kind of badly adapted. And also I just think that this whole scene could have just been more intense also. Cause I honestly think that Manabu could have been like more mad in the scene. Like, okay, so this is again, I didn't read the light novel for this, but regardless, I feel like even if this is how kind of like it went in the light novel, I still kind of feel like this scene just wasn't as intense for some reason, because again, Nagamo has not been shown to be as cunning as he really is, and just how smart, cunning and smart, and just yeah, his intelligence is kind of just downplayed, and his like wit and cunning is kind of downplayed, and also Manabu's reaction I feel like could have just been more shocked and more mad overall. I think that would have just made this scene like more intense and better, and just like yeah, just better like overall. But that's pretty much where this episode ends and where we're at in the story. And then we end off here with Anakoji saying that there will be a lot more expulsions to come. And so yeah, so to kind of wrap this video up, oh my gosh, my voice, I'm so sorry for that. So to kind of wrap this video up, like I said, I completely understand like why light novel readers are upset, but because I come from the perspective of starting with the anime and only knowing the major things through summary, and that's kind of like the major criticism. They light novel readers feel like the series is just a summary of like what the story is. But obviously for me, it's just I just don't feel their pain as much, okay? I don't feel their hate as much really either, but I do understand wholeheartedly why they have the right to be upset. But I just think this is just something that they kind of gotta, that light novel readers, you kind of just gotta deal with it, you know? It's just an unfortunate circumstance where light novel readers just gotta like deal with what they got, you know? And if you really, really just cannot stand the series, you know, just don't watch it, you know? Don't watch it. But hopefully, you know, light novel readers can be happy about the fact that the series is getting more popular, and you know, hopefully it encourages more people to buy the light novels and read it for themselves, and you know, just have the coat community just like have its community grow with fans that love it. And who knows, maybe in the future it'll change studio. Maybe somewhere along the line Lurch will lose the rights to the series, and some other studio will adapt it better. But that's just kind of like my thoughts on the whole thing. I can still enjoy watching the anime. That's where I stand. I can still enjoy watching the anime, and I think that this episode in particular was a pretty solid one. And yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my other videos on Classroom of the Elite. Please go watch my analysis videos on them like I did before. And also don't forget, yeah, I guess go ahead and watch those in 1.25 times speed. That might help y'all too. And also, I remember Year 2 Volume 10 actually came out, and I think I wanted to do like a review video of that, y'all can like let me know if y'all feel like seeing that. I might do it like either way. But yeah, just let me know down in the comments like how y'all feel about the series so far and if y'all would like me to make that video or not. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Peace out.